Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Without a doubt, one of the hottest topics in Call of Duty is, of course, skill-based matchmaking, especially in recent years, and especially this year, because for the first time in what seems like forever, the devs and Activision have actually gone through and addressed skill-based matchmaking to a certain extent and officially responded to it. And that's, of course, through the open matchmaking system here in Black Ops 7, where from the get-go, they've introduced this as a playlist option, or now the default matchmaking option, with skill being minimally considered, versus, of course, the one standard playlist that's in the game, which is normal skill-based matchmaking. Basically, I'm not sure why they call it standard, because skill-based matchmaking was not standard in COD for forever, and then in MW 2019 they cranked it into overdrive. But anyways, I digress. Skill-based matchmaking has been a hot topic this year, and going back to the Black Ops 7 beta when they first made this change, it kind of broke the internet, and almost instantaneously you were able to see the massive difference in game quality when you would play the open matchmaking with minimal skill-based and the standard matchmaking with hardcore skill-based, right? The connection quality infinitely better in open matchmaking. The time to get into a lobby and to fill a lobby up infinitely better with open matchmaking. And now that Black Ops 7 is fully here and the default matchmaking is this no skill-based matchmaking, or this minimal skill-based, it's been a hot topic again, because there's a lot of doubt if it's actually functioning as intended. I have seen so many tweets, so many comments, so many posts over the past few days of Black Ops 7 being out saying, is skill actually being minimally considered? Are they gaslighting us about skill-based matchmaking not being the default here? Are they lying about open matchmaking actually being open? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about what the devs have actually addressed in response to these concerns and my overall experience, because things definitely seem weird. I think that's the best way to put it. Ultimately, without Call of Duty coming out and posting maybe like another white paper with exact specifics, it's incredibly difficult to go through and actually test and prove, okay, it's this much in effect in this mode, or skill-based is completely non-existent in this mode. Like, there's just too many variables in play. We don't have the public API anymore, so we don't know player stats or anything like that. Like, there's basically no definitive way to go through and get the hard data on skill-based matchmaking being on versus off versus partially turned on. Ace has gone through basically the best source for actually testing that kind of stuff, said a similar thing recently. We basically just have to rely on our experiences and what we're feeling in game to have that larger conversation, which of course is where things get very complex, because you have so many differing opinions. What feels like a sweaty player to one person might not feel like a sweaty player to another, or if a lobby is really difficult, it might be hard for that person but be very easy for someone else. And so you have all these conflicting opinions. But because so many people recently, myself included, even on some nights, saying officially, yeah, something feels off with reduced skill-based matchmaking, or is open matchmaking functioning as intended, Treyarch actually went through and responded to all this drama a few days back, saying, we've been keeping an eye on multiplayer matchmaking conversations, and we want to assure everyone of a few things. All of our open playlists use open matchmaking in persistent lobbies, and we remain committed to that approach. Quick play does use the same open matchmaking where skill is minimally considered. The combination of quick play and persistent lobbies is new and presents some unique interactions that we are monitoring to improve over time. And speaking of quick play, if you've seen some of your selections occasionally overridden when playing, we deployed a fix for that today. But with this, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumors going on the past few days of, if you are doing quick play, if you're selecting quick play, you want to play just domination and kill confirmed, or if you're going over to hardcore, since that's the only place you can actually select hardcore playlists, and you just want to play hard points and kill confirmed, the matches might feel a little bit different than if you were to just go into the standard core mosh pit as like a featured playlist on the main menu. A lot of people have said their lobbies feel very different and better in the open mosh pit playlist on the main menu on the featured tab, and then they go into hardcore domination, or they go into quick play domination, and the matches feel a little bit sweatier. Again, that's an entirely subjective stance to have, but there's been a lot of similar opinions on the matter. And you also factor in things like hardcore typically not being the most casual, inviting experience, casual friendly experience. You're probably going to find sweatier players in a situation where you're only queuing hardcore domination or hardcore kill confirmed or something. And so those lobbies might feel like they're sweatier to begin with. Now, from my personal experience, here's where I stand. It does seem like the matchmaking is not similar to years past, where the lobbies are always ridiculously sweaty, but beyond that, the way that the matchmaking system actually works. Now, my stance on skill-based has always been the same. I don't personally care if I'm running into really bad players or really good players and I've got to sweat like it's the CDL. Obviously, I would prefer to drop 100 kills and no deaths every single game. That would make my life very easy for camo grinding and leveling up. I know that's not going to happen, and that's completely fine. There will be matches where I have to sweat and I go, -20 because I'm using a pistol and the other team's using the meta rifle. Or there will be another game where I go +20 and almost drop a nuke, and of course choke it because that's just what happens every single time I'm on a 25 streak, because the enemy team's just not that good. And that's how Call of Duty should be. It should not be every single match plays the exact same, and that's what it was like with skill-based matchmaking. So from that standpoint alone, I feel like the matchmaking this year is different. However, when it comes to the whole open matchmaking conversation and reduced skill-based matchmaking, there have been some very interesting and downright weird stretches of gameplay for me so far. And I think a lot of people have experienced something similar, and that's where this rumor of, is open matchmaking actually working, or did they lie about skill-based matchmaking? That's where that comes into play. Back during the open beta, when they introduced open matchmaking for the first time, you were able to find matches basically instantaneously. When I was searching by myself or with a small party, we were getting put into lobbies within probably 10 or 15 seconds of searching, and that was never a thing. Even dating back to last year, Black Ops 6, before that, MW3, MW2, all the way to MW 2019, you would search for a little bit because it's gonna find the skill-based matchmaking desired outcome for your party or for your stats, and then throw you into that lobby at the expense of connection, at the expense of convenient data centers and servers, and so it would take longer to matchmake. In the open beta, I was able to find matches, especially playing solo, in 10 seconds, and basically every single game I was on the same ping, which means I was connecting to the same data center and it was really prioritizing that. And that was a consistency that felt fantastic in the open beta, and it was very obvious and very apparent. And now in the full game, that happens sometimes, but not all the time. So that's where things get a little bit weird, because if skill is minimally considered, ideally I should be going into the same ping or the same data centers over and over and over again. Now, time of day pending, you're not going to always find the same amount of players online, so maybe the lobby doesn't fill as easily. Or if you're queuing for niche modes, like if you only have hardcore hardpoint queued, it might take you a little bit longer to find that ideal server, and that makes sense. But every single time, it should be relatively similar. You shouldn't have drastic swings in, oh, this game I'm playing on a 10 ping, and this game I'm playing on a 90 for some reason. And that's what happened a ton back when skill-based matchmaking was super strict and fully in effect, even just dating back to last year. There's also situations where I'm ending up in the same lobby over and over and over and over again, which also seems a little bit interesting, especially when it's a lobby that didn't feel as good. If I play a match and I'm on a higher ping and it seemed like it was a sweatier game to begin with, and then I back out and I rejoin into the same lobby, that's got you thinking, well, okay, that was a little bit weird because it didn't seem like skill was the minimal factor in that match and my connection was not being prioritized. Like I was alluding to there, I've never really cared about having to play the bad player or the really good player. My focus, my main priority, and why I've always disliked skill-based matchmaking is because the connection quality being hindered because you're good at the game. I think up front, beyond anything, you should be focusing on the best connection possible for every single player, especially when your servers are like Call of Duty's and the netcode doesn't always feel great. You need to have the best connection, I think, to have the best experience. And so when that's hindered, that's obviously a huge negative, and that was my main beef with skill-based matchmaking. And so there have been similar experiences to that of years past. Now, it's not every game. Sometimes it's one and then it's off and it's fine and it's a super easy lobby. Sometimes it's stacked. Okay, these last 3 games have been pretty sweaty, but then the 4th one is back to being fine. Or these last 3 games, my connections felt a little bit weird. I had one night in particular a couple nights ago where my hit rate just felt atrocious. It felt like the servers were really, really bad and didn't feel like I was connecting to the best possible data center. My ping was higher in matches and I just was feeling like something was off. And I think that's a similar experience to a lot of people, and that's why these rumors are surfacing. What's going on here? I've also had situations where I've run into other streamers or content creators, and it's like, I know for a fact we should be connecting to different data centers because I'm over here in Denver. I should probably be connecting to like a server in Utah, maybe Texas or something. And this person's on the East Coast. We're in the same data center region. Like clearly one of us is not going to have the best ping or anything. So there's really strange situations going on like that, where it does feed the narrative of open matchmaking not actually being accurate or not working as intended. And as I alluded to, we don't have a definitive answer of yes, it's working as intended, or no, it's broken and they're lying. All we have to go off of is Treyarch's word in that tweet that we showed. And if you want to take them at face value with their word there, go for it. I know a lot of people probably won't, because COD doesn't have the reputation of being completely honest. Ultimately, though, what I think this is going to lead to is this conversation ongoing up into the point where Treyarch has to give us like definitive data, because there's still a lot of skepticism around open matchmaking, especially now post-launch, where things do feel a little bit different from the beta. And we don't know what minimal skill-based is. When they keep talking about this, hey guys, open matchmaking is in the game with minimal skill-based, factoring into matchmaking. Okay, well, what is minimal? Is minimal 5% of matchmaking is, based around your skill? So you're still gonna find at least some competition, but it won't be too crazy. Is minimal 35%? So it's like a third of the time you might be getting a sweatier lobby or something like that. Is minimal 49.5%? So they can just say, hey, it's minimal, but it's just barely not like a 50-50 split. I think transparency like that could go a long way, and actually, hard data that could be referenced for situations like this, because as it stands right now, this rumor of Call of Duty is lying about skill-based matchmaking is probably going to continue, and it's probably going to persist for some time until there is a greater explanation for what's going on and why things at times feel like open matchmaking is great and it's back to classic COD matchmaking, and then other times it's like, wow, this feels no different from Black Ops 6 or MW 2019 with cranked skill-based matchmaking. It's a very interesting situation that's ongoing there, given all factors: lobby skill, match connection time, and how long it takes you to get into a game, your overall connection to the game, the ping that you're on in the data center that you're connecting to, hit reg, and everything going on there. There's a lot of factors going into this, and the consistency just feels very off, I think, for a lot of players so far. So wanted to sort of cover the entirety of this situation, what the rumor actually is, how Treyarch's responded, and what it seems like the general community sentiment is so far. Of course, feel free to drop your thoughts on this down in the comments below. While you're at it, if you enjoyed the video, you want to help share it around and get more eyes on it, a like rating is a great way to do so. And if you want to stay in the know for everything going on in COD, there's no better place than right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.